It is on, dear ladies and gentlemen. The full-on trade war between China and the United States of America is going into the second round. 104% tariffs on the table, and I'm fully excitedly standing on the sidelines waiting to see who's gonna fold, who's gonna check, who's gonna call or re-raise in another round. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna dive right into those charts. We're gonna see what the Hang Seng is doing in those current wild and turbulent times, and we're also gonna look into Xiaomi, one of the most promising companies in China currently. So stay tuned, we're jumping right in. Hello and welcome to another video by HKCM Global. My name is Joe, and while I woke up this morning, I barely believed my eyes when I saw that, honestly, the 104% tariffs that Trump was threatening China with did become a reality already. In all honesty, so far I did believe that it's gonna be a bluff by President Trump, but apparently not, at least not for now. He really imposed 104% tariffs on China. Absolutely wild. And to fully underline the insanity of that, for everybody that might not be super strong in math, 104% tariffs means that everything imported from China is gonna cost more than twice as much as soon as it steps over the border into the United States of America. That's really wild. CNN, for example, even calculates that an iPhone could, under those tariffs, cost as much as $3,500 within the United States of America. So talking about inflation right there, goodness gracious. Okay, but then let's not get ahead of ourselves. I would like to discuss with you the current situation before we're gonna dive into the Hang Seng in Xiaomi in just a minute. So, super new article here by CNN Business talking about this new round of trade affairs. China has already put out a statement regarding those new tariffs. And regarding that statement here, for example, it reads, China has promised to take resolute and effective measures to safeguard its own interest hours after President Donald Trump's 104% tariffs on Chinese imports took effect on Wednesday. The United States is still imposing arbitrary tariffs on China and relentlessly applying extreme pressure. China firmly opposes this and will never accept such domineering and bullying behavior, Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson Lin Jian told a regular news conference. So in clear English, that means the war is on. Bring it on, America. We are gonna strike back. The empire is gonna strike back with everything that we got. That's basically China's statement in a nutshell, and they really do mean it. So it should come as no surprise to you that currently when we jump over to the Fear and Greed Index, the Fear and Greed Index currently sits at a reading of 3. In case you didn't know, it's a scale from 0 to 100. So 3 is as low as it goes. I mean, technically, of course, there still is 1 and 2 below, but you get the point. And if you are in the game of investing and stocks for longer than a couple of minutes, obviously, you know this old stock wisdom of being fearful when others are greedy and being greedy when others are fearful. And a Fear and Greed Index reading of 3 is as fearful as it gets. So translating that saying means we now should be super, super greedy, and I'm gonna tell you why and where to be greedy exactly. But just one quick reminder before doing so, we have our international daily analysis service out on our website, available as of last week. So in market times like this one, where volatility is wild, where markets come crashing down, you want to stay up to date. You do not want to wait for us to bring a video out. That video has to be constructed, that video has to be filmed, that video has to be edited, uploaded, all of those. So you want to be really up to date. You do not want to miss any opportunities and movements in the market in times like this. So while these videos that I'm doing here are fun and are amazing and are free value for you, and we gladly provide that for you, it's always better for you and for your portfolio to really stay up to date with push notifications and email notifications on every single movement in the markets. That's why, in addition to those videos that we provide here on YouTube, I would highly advise you, if you have money invested in the stock market, to also check out our daily market analysis service, where you will get notifications as soon as anything happens in the markets, so that you can really stay up to date and do not have to wait until those videos come out, which obviously will be delayed by a couple of hours or even days in some cases. Link down there in the description, highly worth checking it out. So regarding the Chinese economy, of course, we have to look at the Hang Seng index, the biggest index within China, with many important companies of China listed there in that index. And obviously following those tariffs, actually following the first round of tariffs, the Hang Seng really suffered a violent sell-off of in the top 20%, a 20% sell-off even. Wow, that's wild. But the thing is, we did see that coming. Believe it or not, we did see it coming. We have called for that wave 2 to unfold for quite some time by now. So we have established the wave 1 top over here in October of 2024. And ever since, we have been in an A, B so far and an A-B correction so far, but we have concluded that the B top has already been printed here and that now we are in the final C wave, bringing us all the way to the low pivot points for a wave 2 to finally form in this market. So right now, really not the worst time to get into the market. However, in all honesty, we also have a probability, a secondary scenario with a probability of 39% that there still might be even more downside to unfold. And for that alternative scenario, also we have an alternative count labeled here as the Alt X wave, and that becomes even more apparent if I take you over to the more long-term chart, here the 1-day chart. So every single candle here is 1 day. And as just mentioned before on the more imminent chart, we have this alternative scenario with a 39% probability of still a lower low to unfold. And in that alternative scenario, we have here an alternative X wave following down here at the primary wave 2 low. We have this alternative W wave. So we could, there is a chance of 39% that we are not yet in this final upward movement again, but there is a chance that we could have seen, instead of a wave 2 low, we could have seen a W corrective wave, we could have seen an X corrective top, and we could see a final Y corrective wave down to only down here establish an alternative wave 2 low to really then lay the foundation for huge future gains in the market. Because as you know from Elliott Wave theory, after a wave 1 upwards move comes a wave 2 downwards move, and following the wave 2 corrective downwards move comes usually a huge wave 3 upwards move again. So we should either already from current levels see a continuation of this upwards trend, or latest we should see after reaching this target zone down here, we should see a huge and prolonged and massive upwards movement again in the Hang Seng Index. But honestly, of course, that is quite a bit of downside potential, and 39% probability is not that low. But I have to tell you what it is. I cannot tell you we are 100% certain. I cannot tell you we are 90% certain. If the chart picture, the chart structure isn't crystal clear, then we will communicate that to you honestly and will not tell you we have certainties and we have convictions where we don't have them. And talking about conviction, that's the perfect connector to the next title that I would want to discuss with you. Xiaomi, you probably know it from either vacuum cleaning robots, you know it maybe from your smartphones, or you maybe also know it from the newest Porsche Taycan fake coming out of China and even breaking Nürburgring record times. So a really wild company, and we will do a deep dive into Xiaomi some way in the future, where I would like to discuss with you a little bit on why I personally believe that Xiaomi is a company with huge potential and huge disruptive potential. But that's a story then for another day. For now, what you need to know is that currently we estimate that Xiaomi has printed a wave 3 top over here only in end of February 2025. And ever since, we have seen a corrective A downwards move, a counter corrective B upwards move, even printing a slightly higher high. That can happen, so-called overshooting B wave. And ever since, we've seen a violent sell-off in a wave C, and we could now currently already have the wave 4 low in. So we see here we hit the 50% retracement. That is the perfect target zone for a wave 4 low. And we are now already from this picture perfect target of 50% retracement, we are now already 13% up, 14% up almost. So not too bad really. But that of course is not all we expect, because that still is within the target zone. Sure, the upper limit, but it still is within the target zone, and it still is great prices to accumulate that stock. Because from here onward, following this wave 4, we see obviously a wave 5 to unfold, taking us to higher highs. And then this final wave 5 to unfold here will only be completing the overreaching wave 3 here in turquoise, bringing us down to another wave 4, and then bringing us to an overreaching wave 5, finishing up, concluding an even higher overreaching wave 3 top. So that's a lot of numbers and letters stacked on top of each other. Might become more apparent when I bring you over to the more overreaching time frame here in the 2-day chart. And here also you see a precise target zone for this wave 3 top that you just remember from the 1-day chart. Here, this wave 3 top, we have the same wave 3 top here, but here with precise price target. So for this wave 3 top to unfold in the future, we conclude the target somewhere between 81 Hong Kong dollars 60 all the way up to potentially 103 Hong Kong dollars 90. And then following this wave 3 top, we would see this corrective wave 4, and following this corrective wave 4 again inside this target zone, probably. We would then see another final wave 5 up leg to complete this overreaching only wave 1 somewhere in that target zone. But please do not take this and this target zone here completely for granted. That will be further defined as we get along, as soon as we have higher conviction for this price target here, as soon as maybe even this wave 3 will be printed, then we can really with pinpoint accuracy call those target zones here. Right now, do not take those as gospel. They are estimates and they will be further defined and precisioned as soon as we move into those areas or close to those areas. And if you by that time are a subscriber of our daily market analysis service, which you can find on our website, by the way, you will of course get push notifications. You will get notifications on all updates that we do. And you also will get notified on entries that we did. But to give you a little free value and a spoiler alert out of my personal investing career, I did load up on Xiaomi here in that area for sure, because I'm a huge believer in that company. I see huge disruptive potential in Xiaomi, what they're doing. They have a huge diversification in their product portfolio, so I highly believe in Xiaomi. But if you want to stay up to date with those free value videos that we provide here on YouTube, you might want to consider subscribing down there, turn on the bell notification so that you will never miss again another video. Also, don't miss to check out our Instagram and X channel. Tons of free value there as well, posting daily already here on YouTube. We are not yet on daily outputs, but we will scale it up all the way to daily videos. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you soon here again on this channel. Take care. Bye bye.